Hi guys, today we're here with Josh Steimle, who is the influencer expert, and we're going to talk about influence in the B2B world. First of all, Josh, who can be an influencer?
Anybody can be an influencer, right? I mean, we're all influencers to begin with. Whether we know it or not, we are influencers. The question is, are we influencing the people we want to influence in the way that we want them to be influenced? And for a lot of us, the answer is no, but any of us can do that if we know the way to do it, the tricks.
When people talk about influencers, it's more like bloggers, right? We talk about B2C space a lot, and in China, these KOLs are very hot right now. What about thought leaders in the B2B world? What is the huge difference there?
Yeah, the consumer space tends to get the most attention because it's flashy and it's out there on Instagram. We see the crazy kids doing all the crazy stuff. And who wants to listen to a CEO talk about what they're doing? Well, it turns out actually a lot of people want to hear from CEOs. Think about Richard Branson, Elon Musk. I mean, these are very high-profile CEOs, but people even want to hear from small business CEOs. They want to hear about the challenges they're facing in their businesses. They want to hear about their entrepreneurial failures, their successes, and especially if people are buying from that company, they want to hear about what it's like to work with that company, what it's like to buy their products, how those products get made, how those services are provided. There's a lot of interesting information out there, and it's just about packaging it the right way and getting it in front of the right people. But everybody can attract an audience. There's literally an audience for everybody out there. So a lot of people think, oh, I run this small business, it's not that interesting, who would care about what I have to say? Answer is a lot of people, a lot more people than you think are interested.
So if you are a small business, that's very clear in my world why I would want to do thought leadership, because at the end of the day, that would get me clients potentially, right? But if you are working for a big corporation and you are, as you said, a CEO, it feels that the bottom line is very, very far away, and all you're doing is wasting your valuable time. How do you react to such interpretation of thought leadership for big corporates?
It's even more important for big corporations because it's not just about the bottom line. Now, if you invest in your personal brand the right way as the CEO of a large company, you will see an impact on the bottom line, and your marketing team is going to love you for it. But there are other reasons to engage in this. One is recruiting top talent.
Yeah.
So one of the primary jobs of a CEO is to hire great people to be on that team and lead that company. If you have a strong personal brand and you're engaging in thought leadership, it's so much easier to recruit those top people. And there's also PR, which your company cares a lot about. When I was talking earlier today about somebody, or with somebody about this, that he asked the question, if a bad thing happens with your company and you get some bad PR, you have a crisis, are you better off if you've built a personal brand ahead of time and engaged in thought leadership ahead of time? And the answer is absolutely yes. I've researched this. The CEOs who invest in their personal brands ahead of time, when things get bad, they're more likely to survive. The CEO who has a weak personal brand, they're out of there.
People just trust them, right? Trust them a lot more if they,
Yeah, and things roll off because people feel like they already have a relationship with that CEO. So you look at Richard Branson, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. I mean, people who are kind of doing crazy stuff out there, when bad stuff comes up, it just rolls off of them. But you look at Travis Kalanick with Uber, you look at the guy at Nissan just recently this past week.
Yeah.
These people, they're not really well known, and when bad stuff happens, they're out of there.
Absolutely. And what is the right balance between this content being curated by your marketing team or even created by your marketing team? That's how corporate world works. Everything is created a month in advance and they follow a calendar. And how much of it can be, real thought leadership and opinions? Because in some cases, there are also legal implications to that.
Yeah, and the legal implications are tough. Those can come back to bite you. Elon Musk learned about that recently with his $20 million tweet, right? So that can be a tough one. And yet, the more authentic, the more raw that content is, the better. So if an executive at a company will take the reins and create his or her own content for LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever it is, and it doesn't have to go through a filter, that's going to be better content. Even if the production value is lower, it's going to be better in terms of authenticity and vulnerability. But I recognize that some companies, they have certain rules and they say, hey, everything has to go through this review process and it has to be screened. I get that there's some of that. But as much as a CEO can push the boundaries and say, hey, I'm going to pull out my phone, I'm going to film a video, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and just type something up right now, the more that they can do that, the better it's going to be for their company and for their personal brand.
Sounds awesome. So how do people get started?
Just get started. I mean, literally, pull out the phone and film a video of yourself right now. And for those who are watching this, seriously, get your phone, pull it out, point it at yourself, and film yourself for 2 minutes talking about who you are, what you do, why you care about what you do, and then go post that 2-minute video on LinkedIn. And seriously, watch what happens. I guarantee you will be amazed at the engagement, and you'll say, wow, I had no idea that this many people cared this much about what I had to say.
And in terms of platform, you just mentioned LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What are some other B2B platforms where we could promote that content?
LinkedIn is obviously the place for B2B content, but there are a lot of people doing B2B stuff on Instagram, on YouTube especially. I mean, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. It's a great place to put up content. Medium is a great place for blogging as well. And if you can get into some of these publications like Forbes or Entrepreneur Inc., where they have contributor programs where they will take a CEO and say, hey, yeah, let's have you write an article once a month or once a week.
Right.
And you can get that kind of platform, then there's a lot of credibility that comes with that, especially for small businesses that are lesser known. They can get in there and start writing, and that becomes an amazing platform for them.
And what would be your top 3 tips on how to do thought leadership right?
To do it right, most people jump straight to producing content, and that's a mistake. Before you jump into content, number 1 tip, focus on your personal brand. Figure out who you are and what makes you special. Number 2, think about your audience and who really wants the content that you have or the knowledge that you have locked away in your brain, and really figure out that audience and the connection there. And then part 3, move on to your content and figure out, how do I create content that will impact my audience in a way that I can achieve the desired result?
Absolutely. That was beautiful. That was Josh Steimle. Follow him on joshsteimle.com. He's got a marketing company, he's got a book, and he's got Influencer Inc., which is an institute that is going to get your personal brand going in China and abroad. See you around.